Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We continue our conversation now with Leonard Lance. The Vice President of the United States is accused of pulling a stunt by walking out when he saw some NFL players kneeling for the national anthem. Do you believe it was a stunt, and where do you come down on the issue?
I know the Vice President, I know Mrs. Pence, and I think that they believe that we should stand for the national anthem, and I believe we should stand for the national anthem. I would never engage in that type of behavior. The
owner of the Dallas Cowboys is getting some kudos and also some criticism for saying that his players now have to stand or they'll be disciplined. You have two teams that play in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Would you like to see the same thing here?
I would hope that all players would stand, and I leave to the owners what they should do with the football players who play on their teams. I think that's a decision for the owners. But I certainly would urge players, including the players here in New Jersey, to stand for the national anthem. People have a right to protest, but these are players who are playing for a professional team, and so I leave that decision to the owners.
One of the things that Donald Trump said that got universal support, it seemed like, was that he was going to take on infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it got lost in everything else, including the standing for the national anthem. But that's particularly important to New Jersey. Do you see that anywhere in the horizon on the legislative agenda?
I hope so, and this will require bipartisan cooperation. And I attended a White House meeting a little while ago on the building of the Gateway Tunnel, which I think is the principal piece of infrastructure that we need in this region of the country. The tunnels under the Hudson are about 110 years old, and they certainly need to be upgraded. They were hurt to some extent in Hurricane Sandy, and we need to build 2 new tunnels, and that was the discussion when we met with the President on infrastructure issues.
This fight over DACA is getting to the point where 2 sides have dug in, and it doesn't seem like anyone's moving. The President wants his wall, and the Democrats seem to want almost amnesty for those who came to this country because their parents brought them or they were children. Mm-hmm. Nancy Pelosi said today that it's not negotiable. We're not negotiating. This is one of our core issues, and we believe in this. And the President said something similar. That's the problem, isn't it? That seems to be the problem in Congress. The 2 sides aren't talking to each other.
I hope that we all talk together, and I favor DACA reform, and I favor securing the southern border. It doesn't have to be a wall in all places, but I favor greater security at the southern border, and I'm sure there is a compromise to be had in this area, and both sides will have to compromise. I had thought that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi indicated that they were willing to compromise.
Does a wall have a chance?
I don't think a wall at every square inch of our border, but there certainly needs to be greater security because when we address this situation, we don't want to have to address it again 15 or 20 years from now. We want to make sure that those who come into this country come here legally.
General Mattis said yesterday that the Army has to be ready for military action against North Korea. However, he did say that right now we're trying to use diplomacy. But that raised some concern that we're getting close, and it certainly seems like the President is dealing with North Korea through intimidation. Does any of that concern you?
The President was handed a very difficult situation, and I don't think the Obama administration did a good job regarding North Korea. Influence did not work.
Do you believe in a preemptive strike?
I do not believe in a preemptive strike, and I think that this should be solved diplomatically, and I hope that that can occur.
Do you want to see the President decertify the Iran deal?
I certainly voted against the Iran agreement as a member of the House of Representatives. I think it has significant shortcomings, and perhaps the President can indicate there is a middle ground where he would like to renegotiate it. That will be difficult, however, because others may not wish to renegotiate. But I do have concerns about it. It was never brought to the floor of the United States Senate. It was filibustered, and it should have been brought to the floor. And if it had been brought to the floor, it would have been defeated because there were more than 50 votes against it.
Well, it may go to the floor now, and you can explain this to me if I'm getting this wrong, but if he decertifies it, it goes to Congress, right? Mm-hmm. And Congress gets a chance to impose sanctions. against Iran, which would basically start the deal all over again, because we would be in violation of the deal at that point, or at least in front of the UN. And I may have that wrong, and please correct me if I am. But how would you vote on that? Would you vote for sanctions if it's certified?
I very well might vote for sanctions, yes, because I think that Iran is a bad actor, and I don't think that the agreement was in the national interest of the United States, and I know that allies were concerned, particularly our very strong ally in the Middle East, Israel. But if I were to vote that way in the House, I'm not sure the issue would come before the Senate, because there is the filibuster rule in the Senate. I
would like to continue this on all sorts of issues, but we're out of time, and I really appreciate your time, as always, Congressman Leonard Lance. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Everybody's fighting for Amazon's second headquarters. Is New Jersey in the running? Find out next.